Matt, was Jerry the only one that is on the COVID list, or do you have others?
I'm not going to get into all that. I respect the question, but I don't want to talk about people's personal health.
Will he be with you this week or today?
Not today.
Obviously, you know Jamal Williams well. What do you expect out of him on Monday? Do you expect like Jamal times 10?
Jamal Williams?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could see it. It's the same old Jamal that you saw when he was playing for us. You could see it in the game Sunday versus San Francisco, just competing to the best of his ability and getting tough yards and bringing a lot of energy and juice. So, yeah, I'm sure he will be fired up to come in here and play. He's a guy that I got a lot of respect for, a lot of love for. I think if you ask everybody in that locker room, everybody respects him. But, he's the opponent on Monday night, so there's not going to be a lot of love during the game.
What sticks out the most when you look back on his time at Green Bay? Are there any memories that stick out most of all?
Oh, there's so many, but I think just what the first thing that hits my brain is just what a great teammate he was. It's rare when you have two running backs come in the same class, and obviously, majority of the time, only one guy's out there, and to see him cheer on whoever else was in there, that's pretty special. So he is a great teammate, certainly somebody that we miss, but it is, just part of the deal in this league. But, just a guy that we all have a lot of love and respect for.
So after Jamal Williams, talk about Dan Campbell, the staff that he's put together, a lot of guys, former players. How well do you got anybody you work with there with the Lions and feel for what this organization is going to be like this year?
Yeah, I think Dan's done a heck of a job, and I think when you look at, I was really impressed by what they were able to accomplish versus San Francisco. I know that the game was 38-10 at one point, but just to show that resiliency to fight back, I thought is pretty unique. A lot of times that doesn't happen in this league, and they had an opportunity right at the end of the game to go tie the game. So I think that tells you everything you need to know about the Detroit Lions, that this is a team that is competitive, is tough. They definitely take on the mentality of their coach. That is so evident. I know a couple of the coaches there. One, Aubrey Pleasant, I worked with in Washington and in L.A. I think he is a dynamic coach. So I know they have quality coaches on that staff, and I mean, they gave San Francisco everything they could handle.
Matt, what do you recall the most from your time with Jared Goff about what type of guy he is, what type of player he is, and what do you think's going through his head now in a new destination, trying to prove himself once more?
Yeah, I think the thing that stands out, just kind of what was kind of indicative of that last game, is just the resiliency that he shows. I mean, rarely in this league, especially when you're talking about quarterbacks that kind of get off to a rocky start as a rookie quarterback, and then for him to have a great year when I was with him, and then the next year leading his team to a Super Bowl. So I think he is a really good quarterback, really underrated. I think it's going to be really important for us as a defense to make sure that we get pressure in his face, because if you let him sit back there, he will pick you apart. And they got a great offensive line too, so it's going to be a really good challenge for our defense.
Matt, one of the staples of your offense over these past couple of years is a lot of different mixing and matching of personnel groupings, and we just didn't see that much on Sunday, especially comparatively. Why was that against the Saints?
Because we had 12 plays up until the 2-minute drive, and then we went 2-minute, which is typically 11 personnel, and then we started to do that in that first drive. We get down there, we throw the interception, and then we never got into a rhythm. So it's going to be hard to mix and match personnels when you have limited opportunities.
Is that something that you want to get back to this week?
I think that's what we're always trying to do. We're always trying to keep the defense off balance, and it is frustrating when you're not out there. And no matter what's happening on either side of the ball, you got to find ways to move the sticks as an offense. So third downs are critical. Staying on schedule is absolutely critical. to give yourself more opportunities to get more plays, so you can, get into a rhythm and run your offense.
Hey, Matt, I called you a smart guy last week. You said some people might dispute that, so I won't call you that this week. But what you are is a coach who, I don't know if you've heard this, has never had his team lose back-to-back games since he became the head coach here. I'm wondering, does your process change at all during the week? Is it exactly the same after a loss as it is after a win? And how do you kind of explain maybe what you've been able to do to prevent one loss becoming two?
Well, I don't think it's anything that I've done. I think it's a collective effort with everybody in this building, with our personnel department, with our coaches, with our players, just having a resilient mindset and getting back at the task at hand. And I think that's one thing that, you always got to turn the page and you got to focus on the next game. And because every game in this league is a challenge. And if you don't put everything into it each and every week, you're going to get beat. That's just, it doesn't matter who you're playing, when you're playing, where you're playing. You have got to put everything you can, every ounce of energy into the next upcoming opponent.
I know you think we make fun of you for a reset button and 1-0 every week, and maybe we do. But is that something that you firmly believe in, and do you think that messaging is crucial, whether it's after a win or a loss?
Yeah, you're always, if you're looking back and kind of smiling on your past accomplishments, like you're going to get hit in the mouth. And so you can never do that, not for 1 second. It is, whether you win or lose, it's on to the next game, period. There's a period of time there where right after the game that you can either reflect on both wins and losses, but as soon as that next day comes, it's how do we get better for this week? And that, I think, is the mindset our guys have taken. And again, I think it's going to be a great challenge for us against a Detroit Lion team that I think a lot of people underrate.
And how's Z feeling, obviously, after walking through day, film day, and then off day yesterday? How's he doing?
Yeah, I don't think you'll see Z out of practice today.
Matt, you've had a lot of success, but you've had even more success against the division. Why do you think that is? Is it as simple as you get what you emphasize as a coach?
Yeah, I can't really speak to that. I think it's just the mindset, the mentality of the guys in that locker room of just trying to focus on the task at hand and taking care of business one game at a time.
You emphasize division games?
Absolutely. We always emphasize the division. I think that's always the starting point is your division. So, those games almost count as two because while you're getting one leg up, somebody's going backwards. So I think you absolutely have to emphasize your division games. And we know anytime you're playing an NFC North opponent, it's not going to be a finesse game. It's going to be a physical game. And you could see it in that game versus San Francisco. This is a physical bunch in all three phases. So I think it definitely speaks to the mentality of their coach.
Is Adarius going to be stuck in this limited role until he's able to actually put together consistent practices in terms of his snaps? Do you need to see that more before he plays more?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're not gonna put him out there until he can string together. I shouldn't say we're not gonna put him out there, but we're not gonna play him as much as we'd like to until we know that he's healthy enough to do that. And so until he can practice on a daily basis, it's hard to say that he's 100%.
Matt, is he not practicing today because of his back or for another reason?
No, yeah, it has everything to do with the back.
Matt, I know it's only one game on tape with Goff, but from what you know about him and what he ran before, is he making a big adjustment to what he's running with Detroit as far as their scheme, or is he kind of in a comfort zone?
Yeah, no, he looked really comfortable, and I thought their offensive line did a great job against one of the premier defensive lines in this league of giving Jared a lot of time to throw the football. I know there was the one interception he had. There was I think his arm got hit on the play, but for the most part they kept him pretty clean all day against who I view as one of the top defensive lines in all of ball.
Matt, when you look now at the Lions secondary, especially with Jeff Okudah being out, what do you see?
I still see a young, hungry group that'll challenge you. They do a nice job, a really nice job of holding their shell well. So it's hard to get necessarily tell what pre-snap coverages they're in. I think Aubrey Pleasant does a great job with those guys. He's a guy that I've been around quite a bit and got a lot of respect for. So I expect them to do the same to us, try to give us confusing looks or try to hold their shell to the snap of the football.
As you wait for Monday night, how do you view it? Is it more like, I wish we could get right back out there Sunday based on last week's result, or do you need the extra day to clean up everything from last night?
I think we're just into our normal routine now. So today is like a typical Wednesday would be for us, and we're going to go through our process in order to make us feel, confident going into the game.
And Matt, was the league able to tell you whether there was any kind of close contacts with the Saints coaches after the game? Did you have some concern about that on the field? Did they give you reports on that?
Yeah, they did. They emailed us and told us who those people could potentially be, but it wasn't, there was no high-risk close contacts based on what the league told us.
We've asked you every time since the game that we've seen you, but have you heard from the league at all about the roughing the passer penalty?
I have. I don't think I'm allowed to tell.
Did you feel vindicated at all?
Yeah, it makes you feel really good when, my bad.
Speaking of that play, how's Darnell?
He's progressing through. We'll give him the week to see how he feels, but he's been getting better, I would say, every day, and certainly he's a guy that we want available because he's a guy that can cover a lot of ground out there, and he's got great experience, explosiveness, and he's a key member of this football team.
Andy Guara.
Matt,
Yeah, Josiah's still going through the protocol, so that one's a little tougher to tell until we get, there's so many steps along with that. So he will not be out there practicing today.
Will Lucas Patrick be out practicing today?
No, he's still in the protocol as well.
Hey, Matt, you mentioned the low number of plays in the first half. Obviously, that was a pretty big factor. What else did you see as you went through the film and you get ready for this week that you really feel you need to do better offensively?
Where do I start? I think just, it's always our responsibility as coaches to make sure our guys are in the right position and that, they're executing their assignments. I feel like that was one of the games where we had as many mental mistakes as we've had in a long time. So we obviously didn't do a very good job as coaches getting our guys knowing the plan inside and out, knowing the details. Because I do think that when you look at the game of football, and there's a lot of separation when you talk about the details of plays. They're not just a bunch of plays out there. You got to know the intricacies of all the plays and how you adjust for certain looks and whatnot. And when you don't do that, you get beat, which is exactly what happened.
So we've talked in here a lot about the importance of play action for your offense and how hard you guys work to marry up your actual runs with your play action fakes. When you don't run the ball enough or as effectively, how much of a challenge does that create for your offense, given how important that is to you?
Oh, an enormous challenge because you're not necessarily, it's hard to set things up, when you don't do that. And certainly I think when you talk about just known passing situations, which are typically most your third down, and I would say third down in general for the most part, and then your get back on track situations, a lot of those are you're going to throw the football and you're not going to have the strong marriage that you would when you're running the ball.
All right, let's go to Zoom. Sarah, go ahead.
Yep, we have two. Go ahead, Aaron Nagler.
Coach, sticking on the offensive side, we hear a lot, whether you're watching the game, the commenters, or we've heard you talk about it in the offensive coaches in general, regarding what Aaron does at the line of scrimmage, changing plays, etc. How much of that is him changing the stuff that's in the plan, so to speak, into things that you guys have practiced all week? And how much of it is Aaron just changing to stuff he knows can take advantage of the defense, but maybe you guys haven't practiced throughout the week?
I would say the majority of everything we do has been talked about and is in the plan. Certainly, there are instances where things come up, where he sees something and then he'll try to take advantage of it. But I don't think there was anything, this past game that he did that we weren't really aware or going into the game planning for.
And last one, Chris Roth.
Hey Matt, you mentioned you have some familiarity with Aubrey, but a lot of that coaching staff is new. There's a lot of former players. Some of them are young coaches as well. So when there's not a lot of DNA that you can go back and look at, what's the preparation been like with them just having one game on tape?
Well, one thing I've come to realize is just because you see things on tape doesn't mean that something else might not show up. So we have to do a really good job, really, in every phase. You just got to have answers for, potential problems or things that you're going to face, throughout a course of a game. So that's kind of like where our focus is really gone, is focusing on us and how we can have all-purpose plays out there that have the necessary built-in adjustments to handle whatever you may see out there.